I had been on the planet Verelos for 3 weeks when the warnings began. At first, they came quietly, delivered by advisors, guards, and even fellow diplomats who had survived longer than most humans ever did in the Virelian royal court. "Do not approach Princess Serelith," they whispered. "She is not meant for humans. She is dangerous. She is unpredictable." But none of them would say why. Not directly. Not clearly. And that only made me more curious. I had come as a representative of Earth, the first human to walk inside the crystalline palaces of the Virelian Empire, a civilization of luminous-skinned beings whose hair shimmered with starlight. Their society was orderly, disciplined, almost ritualistic. Every movement had meaning, every word carried weight. Yet beneath all that formality, I sensed something raw beneath the surface, like a star straining behind thin glass. And Princess Serelith was the brightest star of all. I first saw her during my welcoming ceremony. She didn't speak, didn't step forward, didn't even blink. She simply looked at me, directly, unflinchingly, with those pale gold eyes that seemed to hold galaxies inside them. Every Virelian in the hall lowered their heads in respect, yet she stood tall, untouched by the rigid rules surrounding her. Later that night, an advisor approached me. "You must not engage with the princess," he said quietly. "For your safety." I laughed it off then. Why would a princess be a danger to me? But after the second week of warnings, and the third, I began to realize they weren't joking. Virelians didn't use metaphors. They meant exactly what they said. And still, I couldn't stop thinking about her. Beginning, the princess who never spoke. My quarters overlooked the violet gardens of the palace, where the air shimmered with particles of glowing pollen. There, I would sometimes catch glimpses of her walking alone. Her long silver hair flowed behind her like liquid light. She moved delicately, yet her presence felt impossibly heavy, like gravity bent differently near her. Once, she paused in the garden pathway and turned her head slowly toward my window, as though she sensed my gaze. She didn't smile, didn't wave. She simply looked up at me, ancient and knowing. The next morning, my escort doubled. "Please," one guard said urgently. "If she approaches you, step back. Do not let her come close." "But why?" I asked for the 100th time. He swallowed. His throat glowed faintly. Virelian physiology reacting to stress. "Because she chooses only once." That was all he said. The night she came to me. The night it happened, the palace was quieter than usual. I couldn't sleep. The air felt charged, as though a storm hovered just above the crystalline ceiling. I stepped onto my balcony, breathing in the cool, luminous breeze from the gardens. That's when I felt it, a presence behind me. Deliberate, not hostile, but impossible to ignore. When I turned, she was there. Princess Serelith stood inside my room. The door closed behind her even though I never heard it open. Her hair glowed faintly in the dim lighting. Her eyes, normally calm and unreadable, held a storm I couldn't decipher. "Princess," I whispered, startled. "You're not supposed to." She raised a hand, silencing me without a word. Then slowly she stepped closer. Every warning I had been given echoed in my mind. Do not approach her. Do not let her come close. For your safety. For hers. I backed up instinctively until my legs hit the edge of the bed. But she didn't stop walking. "You are afraid," she said softly, her first words to me ever. Her voice was warm and melodic, with an undertone that vibrated through the air like distant thunder. "I'm surprised," I admitted. Her gaze softened. "Do not fear me, human. I came because I chose to." She took one final step, her face inches from mine, her breath carrying the sweet scent of starbloom pollen. Her glow intensified, washing the room in pale gold light. "I have watched you," she whispered. "From the first day. You are different from the others. Honest. Steady." My heartbeat thundered. "They said I should stay away from you." "I know." She sounded almost amused. "Virelian hearts bind only once. For life. For eternity. A princess's choice affects all of Virellos. They feared I would choose recklessly." "And did you?" "Breathe." She didn't answer with words. Instead, she gently took my wrist and guided me to sit beside her on the bed. Then, carefully, gracefully, she lay down next to me, her head resting near my shoulder, her hair pooling like starlight across the sheets. Her voice was a whisper against the quiet room. "I choose you, human," she said. "And no law, no warning, no fear will stop that." My whole body froze. "Why me?" I asked. Her eyes fluttered shut as she breathed deeply, calmly, as though settling into a place she longed to be. "You did not look at me with fear. You did not bow out of obligation. You looked at me as though I were a person, not a prophecy. No one else has ever done that." She reached up, her fingers brushing my hand, tentative at first, then certain. "I choose you," she repeated. "And I do not unchoose." The truth behind the warning. In the morning, the palace erupted. Guards burst into my room, then froze instantly when they saw us. The princess was still beside me, awake now, calm, her golden glow warm and radiant. The captain of the guard fell to his knees. "It is done," he whispered. "The princess has chosen." "Chosen what?" I demanded. Serelith sat up, placing one graceful hand on my shoulder. "Human," she murmured. "In Virelian culture, when a royal lies beside another willingly, it is not simply affection. It is a binding, cosmic link. You are now under my protection. My future. My match." I swallowed hard. "That's why they warned me." "Yes," she said softly. "Because it cannot be undone." The queen arrived moments later, her robes shimmering like molten crystal. She looked between us, Serelith glowing in quiet certainty, me sitting frozen in stunned disbelief. Instead of anger, the queen's expression held something sadder. Resigned. Almost proud. "My daughter has chosen her heart bond," she said. "And I will honor it." She approached me, placing a hand on my shoulder with surprising gentleness. "You must understand, human. This path will change the course of your life. You will be tied to her spirit, to her destiny, to her burdens." I looked at Serelith. She met my gaze without flinching, without hiding, without fear. Her eyes held a fragile hope I had never seen in her before, and something inside me settled. "I accept," I said quietly. Serelith exhaled, relief washing over her features like sunrise breaking through clouds. She leaned her forehead against mine in a Virelian gesture of trust. "You honor me," she whispered. Ending a new future. Over the following days, the palace transformed. What had been whispers became celebrations. What had been warnings became blessings. Virelians honored the princess's choice with ancient ceremonies, their glowing bodies swirling like constellations around us in ritual dances. I learned more about their ways. A princess who chooses binds her life energy to her chosen partner. Their strengths amplify one another. Their emotions influence each other, forming an unbreakable bond. Through it all, Serelith remained at my side, calm, radiant, and fiercely protective. One night, as we stood on the crystalline balcony overlooking the glowing gardens, she spoke softly. "You were not meant to fear me," she said. "You were meant to stand beside me." I took her hand. And you weren't meant to be alone. She leaned into me, her light warming my chest. No, not anymore. Above us, the twin moons of Varellos rose, casting silver and gold across the palace. Serelith watched them with quiet contentment. Your arrival changed everything, she said. Your presence shifted my fate. She looked up at me, glowing softly. And I would choose you again. Every time. Smiled. Then I guess I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. She rested her head against my shoulder, just as she had that first night. Peaceful, certain, unafraid. And for the first time since arriving on Varellos, I felt something settle deep inside me. Not fear. Not confusion. But belonging. She had chosen me. And I had chosen her back. Together, under the alien moons, the bond between us pulsed gently. Steady, luminous, eternal. A human and a princess. Two lives intertwined. A future neither of us could have foreseen, yet both of us now welcomed. And thus began the legend whispered across the Virelian Empire. The human who defied warnings, and the princess who chose him anyway.